Hi, Kevin Jeyakumar here from FLVS, and I'm going to explain to you expenditure and tax multipliers, marginal propensity to consume, and marginal propensity to save. Okay, so first of all, we need to know what MPC means. MPC is a marginal propensity to consume, which means for every dollar you get, how much of it are you actually going to spend? So for example, if the marginal propensity to consume is 0.9, for every dollar you receive, you'll spend 90 cents. Now, MPC plus MPS equals 1. So if the marginal propensity to consume is 0.9, the marginal propensity to save is 0.1. So of this $1, I would save 90 cents and spend 10 cents. Okay, now we're going to take a look at a practical example if the marginal propensity to consume is 0.5. Okay, so I'm going to bring some people here, and I'm going to spend $10. Okay, so I'm going to, of my $10, the marginal propensity to consume is 0.5. So of this 10, I'm going to spend 5. Okay, so now you have $5, and the marginal propensity to consume is 0.5. So you spend half of it, which is $2.50. So pass $2.50 on. Now you have $2.50, and since the marginal propensity to consume is 0.5, you spend $1.25. Now, this $1.25 that I have, I would spend 0.5 of that, or 50% of this, until, and this process would keep on going on and on and on, until the money was no longer divisible. Okay, thank you. So, and each one of these little, each time the money moves from hand to hand, it all adds up into our GDP. So we're going to take a look at how, in a problem that we might encounter on the AP exam, how this actually relates. Okay, so in this situation, the marginal propensity to consume is 0.75, and the government has just increased spending by $500 billion. However, they have also increased taxes by $200 billion. Now we need to find what change in GDP there will be. Okay, first of all, since we know MPC, we need to find MPS. We all know the formula, MPC plus MPS equals 1. Now, if MPC is 0.75, we need to find MPS. 0.75 plus MPS equals 1. Now, we just do 1 minus 0.75 and we get MPS equals 0.25. Now, we need to solve for our multipliers. First is the expenditure multiplier, which is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus MPC. So, 1 over 1 minus MPC, which is, again, 0.75. So we get 1 over 0.25, which is equal to 4. Our expenditure multiplier is 4. Now, you're going to solve for the tax multiplier. The tax multiplier is a little bit different to solve for. It's equal to MPC divided by MPS. Now, we know our MPC is 0.75, and we know our MPS is 0.25. So 0.75 divided by 0.25 is 3. Okay, so now that we have our two multipliers, we can go straight into finding our GDP change. Now the reason the GDP changes by this multiplier is, as you saw in our example, each time the transaction happens, where money is passed from hand to hand, it all adds up to the GDP. So one little expenditure can add up to a big difference. So the formula to find a change in GDP is the actual change in spending or taxes times the expenditure multiplier or the tax multiplier, depending on the situation. So first of all, government spending went up by 500 billion. So 500 billion, we're just going to abbreviate that 500B, times our multiplier, 4, equals our change in GDP. So 500 times 4 is 2,000, so the change is 2,000 billion or 2 trillion. 2 trillion. So that's our change in GDP because of the government spending. Now taxes. Taxes went up by 200 billion, so people have less spending money. So 200 billion, and we're going to put a negative right there because the taxes went up. And now we're going to multiply this by our tax multiplier, which is 3. Times 3 equals negative 600 billion. Now, to find our total change in GDP, we have 2 trillion and 600 billion. We just add those two together, 2 trillion plus negative 600 billion, and we get $1.4 trillion. And we can just add this here, 1.4 trillion. Now you can also write that out with all the commas and everything, but we're just going to abbreviate it here. So whenever you have a change in government spending, it's actually going to be a bigger change in the GDP than the number itself due to the expenditure multiplier. And when you have change in taxes, it's going to affect the GDP more because of the tax multiplier. Alright, so that's the expenditure and tax multipliers. Thank you.